Hi everybody, John Cena here and welcome to this latest episode of FUNKQUEST. We're going somewhere where I've never been before and I don't know anything about. Our nearest equivalent is probably the Loch Ness Monster. So without further ado, Mike, tell us who you are and where you're dialing in from.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Mike. I am from northwestern New Jersey in a town called Sparta. I don't know if you've seen the 300 movie that was based around our town. No, I'm just kidding. And I'm a Bigfoot investigator.
A Bigfoot investigator?
Bigfoot investigator. We a researcher that goes out and looks for Sasquatch.
Okay, well, we'll get into what that is and how you do it and all that later in the show. We've also got a long-time Funkster, friend of the show, Grand Champion Funkster from I don't know when, season 4, Barb. Tell us where you're dialing in from.
I'm dialing in from Seattle, Washington.
The rules of FUNKQUEST are simple. Each Funkster selects one of 4 icons. Behind each icon is a question which may or may not have anything to do with the icon. The Funkster then has 1 minute to tell a story, tell a joke, or maybe even answer the question.
We're going to ask Barb to go first. You can pick a record player, a red London bus, a pizza, or a little hedgehog.
My entire family has a fascination with someday getting to ride one of these buses, and so we're going to choose that.
London bus. Question, how do you turn yourself off before bedtime?
I like the bedroom being a synchrosact. Thank you. It is morning here. We don't do screens or anything. I love reading before bed, and that's probably the main thing. Most recently, I would say, my bedroom got incredibly pleasant because my husband put fairy lights up above the bed, and so I like really peaceful lighting and a really good book. I read a lot during the day, and I try to read things that challenge me during the day, and at night I like to read things that don't. Things that completely shut off my brain.
What are you reading at the moment then?
At the moment, I'm doing the annual reread through everything, right? But I've been on a Frederick Bachman kick. So I'm probably going to say this wrong, and your Swedish listeners can correct me. A Man Called Ove.
Ove.
Have you read this?
Ove.
Yeah.
But I think it's Ove.
Is it Ove? Okay. So
Yeah.
He is a writer that makes me want to stop writing. He is just so good. The storytelling, all of his books, there's not a single one that doesn't make me cry and laugh, usually in the same chapter. But I love rereading him about once a year.
Excellent. We'll have to find out one of his books, put in the show notes. Excellent, Mike. Hopefully you get the idea. If we don't like the question, by the way, we'll just ask you a question about Bigfoot hunting. Because it's our show, we can do what we want. You can pick a record player, a pizza, or a little hedgehog.
I have to go with pizza. I'm a huge fan of pizza. So, favorite food.
Favorite food. Okay, so what do you take with you when you go Bigfoot hunting?
Oh man, we had to take a lot of equipment. We have cameras, as many cameras as you could imagine, trail cameras. We have video cameras to film the show, body cameras. We got voice recorders that we take, FLIR thermal imaging cameras that we take. We carry a lot of equipment, and it's all to get all different types of evidence of Bigfoot, whether it be visual or physical evidence, whatever. We carry hydrocal casting material. It's called hydrocal. It's basically paper mache on steroids.
Yeah.
It's a casting material. So when you find a Bigfoot footprint or a footprint of something that you find interesting, what you do is you pour the material, you mix it with water, and you pour the material into this cast, and then it comes up nice and hard after a couple hours.
We call that plaster of Paris.
Same thing. Yeah.
So how many batteries have you got? I mean, it must take a lot of preparation.
Oh yeah. Well, I have it's called the Bigfoot Mobile Command Center. It's a uplifted Subaru Outback I designed and made it myself, and it has all charging capabilities. So I'm able to charge all my cameras and stuff, and do that from the road and on the go, which is amazing because we spend a lot of time on the road.
Like a bespoke camper van.
Not as cool as a camper van, but it's on its way. It's almost a cool camper van. Yes.
How long does it take you to sort through all the footage afterwards?
You don't want to know. Yeah. Generally, we're out for 3 nights, 4 days, and we'll have we'll come back with anywheres of almost 200 gigabytes worth of footage. So that's a lot of sorting through. Audio files record 24/7 in case there's a Bigfoot vocalization throughout the day or whatever. What we use is a spectrogram, so we can actually see the audio, so we can see in time frames. So we don't actually have to look through and listen audio to every second of every hour that we're there, which is really cool.
Barb, question 2. You can pick a cityscape, some balloons, some bananas, or a painted car.
I'll take the balloons.
Balloons. Now, this is a good question for you. Where is the worst your car broke down? Now, it's not a fix. Bob's just been telling me this before the show. So recount the story.
Okay, recount the story. And my family, after or before Christmas, we gather for something we call Cousin Palooza, which is where my siblings and I and my parents and all of the cousins gather, and we get them hopped up on sugar, and it's a lovely thing. They actually, instead of giving gifts, they give candy. It's great. Anyway, so we were driving over on Christmas Day to Cousin Palooza. I'm on the west side of Washington State. There's a mountain in between us and all the good people, all the cousins, right, on the east side of the state. And we get over, and we were feeling quite successful because we made it through all the snow and the ice, and the car starts to make that helicopter noise that you don't ever want to hear in a car. Like, we're actually looking out the window, like, what's going, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, it turned out that somewhere along the way, we were dropping lug nuts like they were going out of style. And so we get about an hour away from our destination, and where we should have had 5, we were down to 2. And so we spent Christmas evening parked on the side of the road in dairy country in the snow and ice, waiting for there's a lot of us, there's 6 of us. And so it took several cars to come and collect us, and then to get our very old van to somewhere that could deal with it. So I think by the end of the trip, we figured out that what should have been about 8 hours in the car was actually 17 hours in the car.
Oh.
You will talk about this more than laying on the settee watching Jason the Argonauts, right? Which you do, Bob, in most Christmases. Well, you obviously don't, but we do.
Yes. I will say, as far as, I don't know if it was a bad place to be stuck on the side of the road, because where we were, people put up Christmas lights. We got to sit from our vehicle, and it was at that time of the night when they're all starting to turn on. And that was kind of cool. It's getting darker, it's getting colder, but everybody's lights are coming up, and that was pretty neat. Excellent.
Good stuff. Mike, question 2.
No, let's do the car.
Car. So we're going to ask you, which fairground ride did you dislike? That's a lame question. So I'm going to ask Barb to just fire a question to Mike.
You have hours and hours listening for audibles of, what do Bigfoot's feet? What's the plural of Bigfoot? What do they say?
Some people say big feet would be the plural. I think it's big foot. Kind of like
no S.
Deer is the plural of deer. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what do Bigfoot say?
They have different vocalizations that they do. Some do like a howl, long, like a horror movie kind of howl that you would hear. Then they do whistles. Some people think they rock clacks or tree knocks and knock on trees with wood. I think they actually clap their hands, which is a sign of like primates. So they have all different ways of communicating with each other.
They whistling like this. Does this imply to us that there's 2?
That's a common misconception with a lot of people is there's just one Bigfoot. I think there's like, and this blows people's minds, that there's like 2,000 Bigfoot in the United States. There's got to be a breeding population for Bigfoot to exist. If you think it's a biological creature, like I think it is. Some people don't think that. Some people think Bigfoot is related to aliens and UFOs or ghosts. They could be related to supernatural things or intradimensional things. Some people think Bigfoot are related to. But I think Bigfoot's just kind of like a bear or like a chipmunk or a turkey or something like that, just kind of hanging out in the woods. Yeah.
I don't know whether 2,000's a lot. I mean, when you see on the news, tigers are extinct or rhinos are extinct, they're down to the last so many. Is 2,000 a lot or not a lot in terms of to procreate a species ongoing? I don't know if that's a lot.
It hovers just above the not possible line. So there's not an overabundance of Bigfoot, but there's enough to sustain a population.
Good. I'm glad you answered the question about fairground rides. Barb, you can pick a blue house, an astronaut, some coffee beans, or a windsock.
Coffee beans.
Coffee beans. Good question for you, this. We're going to take about 20 minutes answering this. What habit do you have that you wish you didn't?
I don't know. I think I'm going to answer it in reverse. Someone was telling me this morning that we ought to be able to learn a lot about people based on what's in their freezers. Okay. And so I'm going to, because we're breaking all the rules on the questions, I'm going to flip the other way. I wish that I had a habit of preparation. Okay. Because so maybe I have a habit of non-preparation. When I think about, having a freezer full of freezer meals, intellectually, it sounds like such a good idea, right? To be the sort of person that can say, what should we have for dinner? Hold on, I'll check my freezer and pull out something. But the reality is, if I did that, what we would have is ice cream for dinner, right? Because I'm not someone that tends to make meal plans or so maybe the habit that I have.
So when you're baking buns, like how many do you make? I'd imagine you bake about 500 or something like that.
Yeah, something enough to, well,
So,
20
or something like just for the day.
Yeah, something along this line. I'm not a hyper preparedness person.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't like how they taste out of the freezer. I was that person last night, and I feel really bad about this, but I was that person that made soup at some point in the past, and I pulled it out last night because some of my kids have cold, and I thought soup seems comforting. And as I pulled it out and I thawed it and I put it in the pan, I thought, this looks gross, and I made something else for me to eat.
Excellent. Yeah, on that note, let's move on. Do you want to find out some more about Bigfoot? Mike, question 3. Painted house, an astronaut or a windsock?
Yeah, I like the astronauts. Let's do astronauts.
Good choice. What do you do to motivate yourself? What made you get started? And
man, you want to know? And this is just it's funny because we were talking just before the show. I think it was just before we started recording about your podcast, be able to change some lives and cure some boredom and make people think differently about stuff, which is awesome. And you got an email from one of your listeners that kind of described that. I got an email from one of my viewers. He was like, I just wanted to let you know that I have this kind of new disease that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And it caused me that I can't get out in the woods and look for Bigfoot anymore. But I want you to know that I live vicariously through your videos. And that means the world to me. And I knew it from like right there that was going to be like, I'm set on this kind of thing. This is what I'm going to do type of thing, My goal of the show, and the reason why I made the show, it's called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, is to get kids and families outside and into nature more often. I think we spend too much time on the couch and kind of sitting and watching TV and stuff, and not enough time out exploring nature. And that's what I hope people gain from.
Where did you learn your tracking skills and all that type of stuff? That
self-taught, all self-taught. I was. I guess I was all like growing up, I was like an inside kid, all video games constantly, never outside, never in the woods. My first camping trip was my first Bigfooting trip, and that was in North Florida. I was out with a group looking for Bigfoot. That was what we were doing. And nothing happened. We were out there. I paid a lot of money to go on this trip. Nothing happened until the last night. When we were up looking at a meteor shower. It was me and my friend Jimmy. We were up looking at a meteor shower, and we hear a tree knock come from one direction, and then a tree knock come from another direction. Like 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. These are the people that put on the expedition, because I paid them all that money to go on this thing. And then we were sitting around. About 15 minutes later, you could hear it come through the trees. A fist-sized rock comes crashing down and lands like 10 feet away from our campfire. I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. And I ran to my car. My friend was like, well, if you want to sleep in the car, you're more than welcome. And by the time he said that, I had my tent and my sleeping bag, and I was just beelining it for the car. And then he finally talked some sense into me and is like, Mike, this could be a Bigfoot, come on out. And over the course of the next 20 minutes, another four more of these fist-sized rocks came landing down. And I'm either thinking, okay, this is either a person or a Bigfoot. It's got to be one of the two. There's no in-betweens. And I'm thinking still it's these people that put on the show. And then my buddy was like, I'm going to throw a rock back at it. So he throws the rock back, and I knew it wasn't a person at that exact second because a laptop-sized boulder came crashing down through the trees and landed like 5 feet away from us. So totally outside of human range. Nobody could have done it. we went and measured the next day. It was like 75 yards away. It was the closest it could have been because of our trajectory. It came down in the where we were situated on the hill. And that got me thinking. After that, I was like, wow, something might actually be out there. And that's what sparked the fire. And then 12 years later, here I am doing Bigfoot tours and talking to you. But it's self-taught stuff, and it's through Bigfoot stuff is just through knowledge and talking to other people. It's other researchers. It's nobody has like a textbook of how to look for Bigfoot. So it's all kind of personal experience and trying new stuff out.
The next time you're on the show, Mike, I want you to be holding up a book to the camera that says, "Here is the definitive book on how to track Bigfoot." Right?
People have told me that I need to write a book, and I don't know. I guess I should. I don't know.
You ain't coming on again until you've written that book. Yeah. Barb, question 4: some winter trees, a gramophone, the Eiffel Tower, or a kayaker?
Take the winter trees.
Winter trees. There you go, right up your street. When did you last burn something in the kitchen? Probably never.
That's not true. Every time that I make a pie, I don't know what it is about pies. They say, but not up at the front. They should say at the top of the recipe that you ought to like put a pan underneath the pie. Yeah, I routinely actually burn pies. Although not last week. Last week my oven died. My oven died, and I was without an oven for the entire week. And this, one of the perks of being married to a farmer who has a lot of shops at work, is that when something dies, we're waiting for the part to replace it. It took about a week and a half to get the part in. And he says, well, I did find an oven in the shop somewhere, and it seems reasonably clean. And so he pulled it into the garage and hooked it up. I could either use the dryer or I could use the oven. But there was technically an oven out there. For some reason, it was off-putting to me.
I'm just imagining that you kind of going out with the pans like outside and then, knocking some up and then coming back in.
Well, yeah, more or less. But it came down to, do people need dry socks or do people need pie? And it was a toss-up, and there was debates, but
that is a tough one.
Socks one. Yeah. Right? I'm saying, like, you could just give up getting dressed and sit and eat pie, but I think there's issues with that.
Mike, question 4: you can pick some winter trees, gramophone, or a kayaker.
I was going to pick the kayaker because I have a kayak, but let's do it. Let's do the kayak.
The kayak. Okay, excellent. Good choice. Where do you go to find all this stuff?
Oh, man. The closest I've been to the equator is Florida. And we're actually going down there in like a week and a half. So I'm so excited. We're going down there doing a tour, library tour. I go and talk about Bigfoot to different libraries down there. But where we go is a good question. Where I go, people ask me all the time, well, where do you pick camping sites and stuff and look for Bigfoot? And I say, well, what I do is I go on Verizon's website, because I have Verizon as a cell phone carrier. And I look for areas that I don't have cell phone service in and base my search around there. Obviously, then I look for woods and prior Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that. You need 3 things to have a Bigfoot. You need shelter, food, and water. So if the forest has that, then you have a good chance of finding a Bigfoot there. But I picked the cell phone thing because when I go to these locations, I want to be distraction free. I don't want there to be anything bothering me from focusing on Bigfoot, and not so much me, but anybody else that I bring that may not be into Bigfoot as I am, where they'd be sitting on their phones. It's not about that. It's about looking for Bigfoot,
What do your friends and family think about this hobby?
Well, a good 50% think I'm absolutely insanely crazy. And a good 50% are like, wow, it's pretty cool. Thankfully, my mom and dad, who I live with, think it's pretty cool. So that's all I I mean.
When you said to somebody, hey, let's go out and do some Bigfoot, they, oh, God. Or do they kind of, oh yeah, we're going out with Mike today?
No, they don't go with me. No, they don't like the woods at night. That's not something that they're into. When I say, hey, I'm going out Bigfooting again, they're just like, all right, well, don't get lost, don't get hurt, have a good time, do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to know when you're coming to Washington, because isn't Washington supposed to be a bit of a hot spot for Yetis?
It is. It absolutely is. I would love to get out there. It's just I don't have the funds to get out there. I think next year I'm going to try to book some libraries out there, and actually, instead of driving, take a flight out there, because I know some people that I could actually stay with. So that might be a thing. So if that is a thing, I will let you know for sure.
I want to hear about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the idea of no cell phone coverage, no mobile coverage. Good shout. Are we on question 5? I think. Barb, some dice, some ducks, a fast car, or some work tools?
I'll take the ducks.
Ducks. Which famous person would you like to be neighbours with?
Fred Rogers. Feels like the obvious one.
Rogers.
Yeah, it's, like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? I think yes. It seems nice. Either that or oh my goodness, I just lost her name. The Great British Baking Show. She's your hero, Mary Berry.
Mary Berry.
I think Mary Berry would be nice to live next to. I'm making a leap in my mind, I guess, that she is constantly cooking things like that, and that she strikes me as neighborly, like she would bring it over. So I just had this.
How many books how many books of hers have you got? You got all her books?
I have none of hers. This is a shameful reason, but it's because I have difficulty converting from metric to the U.S. customary, which is terrible. I know. I want her recipes, and I lack the intelligence or patience or both to sit and convert it, which is why somebody gave me a Paul Hollywood.
The Mary Berry's books are not translated, if that's the right word, into what we would call imperial.
Yeah, or I haven't found the version that is. Like, somebody gave me a Paul Hollywood bread baking book, and it looks fantastic, but the entire thing is a bit unintelligible to me. It's embarrassing.
We need to perhaps sit down one night and just work them on out and just write in biro at the side what it is. You don't have to do that once.
I know. Well, and part of what it is too is that they're intelligent bakers, and so they weigh all their ingredients. I don't even use a measuring cup most of the time, and so it's far.
That's a good question, actually, Mike. When you're out for 3 days and 4 nights, or the other way around, do you take? Presumably, you like the army, you have to take all supplies with you.
Yeah. Generally, we don't like to go into town. We do for ice and stuff like that. But when we're out in the woods, we're generally we bring everything we need, whether that be food, water, that kind of stuff. A lot of times, if we're deep in the backwoods, we'll filter our water and do that kind of survivalist thing. We'll do that when we eat food. We eat, like, it's called mountain house food, and it's freeze dried food. So all you got to do is like add boiling water to it. That's generally what we eat. It's really horribly bad for you, but it tastes really good, and it fills you up, which is what it's designed for. So that's what we generally eat when we're out there.
Royal Army Logistics Corps type of a job. And your question, you can pick a dice, a fast car, or some work tools.
Let's do the dice.
Dice. Quite an obvious question. Who would you like to be stuck in a lift with?
I would have to say this guy, Cliff Barackman. He's a Bigfooter guy. He has been on the Finding Bigfoot TV show, and he's very into Bigfoot the way I am. He kind of follows the same philosophies and stuff like that. He actually owns the North American Bigfoot Research Center in Washington, actually. I forget the name of it, but I think it's Boring, Washington. Does that make sense? I would love to be stuck in the elevator with him, because he would definitely. I would love to chat with him about Bigfoot for a couple hours. He would not like that, but that's okay.
Okay, so the $1 million question is: how close have you been to Bigfoot?
Physically?
Yeah.
I think within 20 yards.
Really?
Yeah. We were in Whitehall, New York, which is right on the border of Vermont and New York, and Lake Champlain, which is known kind of like for the Champ, which is very much like the Loch Ness Monster, Lake Champlain monster. I digress. We were there, and it was at night, and we didn't bring any filming equipment in. We just brought an audio recorder and a big flashlight. And we walked into this wooded area that nobody uses anymore, and we heard some tree knocks, which was really cool, and we kept going. And then we heard branches breaking and footfalls, and there were actually rocks being thrown at trees behind us and hitting trees like behind us over our shoulders. It lasted for 6 minutes. We were shining the light around. We couldn't see anything. That didn't stop the Bigfoot from throwing stuff at us. And I think what happened was we got too close to their family group. I think they live in like family groups. So I think since we hiked into this area that nobody generally goes to, I think we were a little bit too close to them. And I think that they got aggressive and wanted to get us out of the woods. And eventually that's exactly what happened. We got the heck out of there.
Okay. What do you think in your lifetime, Mike, the chances of finding and capturing and presenting to the world a Bigfoot, what are the chances?
Absolutely zero, because I don't want to capture a Bigfoot. I think it's some people do. Some people want to shoot a Bigfoot. Obviously, science needs a body to classify these animals, and to I would want nothing more to have these as an endangered species, so we can protect and preserve and conserve these animals. However, science needs a body for that, and I'm not going to be the one that presents a body. I don't want to capture one because I think they're too aggressive. And I think, people ask me all the time what I would do if I even just came close to one. And I don't know if I would pee or poop first or scream like a little girl. I don't know which would come first, second, or third. I would love to observe one of these from afar, not so much and film them. That's how I like to capture them, is on film.
Is it native to North America? I mean, do they go over the border in Canada? Is it all across the US? How geographically spread?
All across the U.S., actually, 6 of the 7 continents has a story of Bigfoot on them. So you have one in Europe, Bigfoot. You have more so of the Black Panther out there, but you do have sightings of Bigfoot. Absolutely, yep.
I didn't know that. I'll have to keep my eyes open next time. But Black Panther.
yeah.
It is funny though. I wouldn't think of them needing to be an endangered species. It appears that they've been able to take care of themselves and keep out of sight for. Because I mean, this isn't a new thing, right? People have been looking for.
Right. Well, and here's the thing: if you say that Bigfoot do exist, you're going to have everybody and their moms looking to hunt one of these things, to have it for a game hunting. Just like people pay to go on big game trips down in Africa and stuff like that. Everybody in their woods and their moms is going to be in the woods trying to shoot one of these things. And I think a lot of people are going to get shot in the process because person kind of looks like a Bigfoot, especially when they go out hunting.
Excellent. Good stuff. Mike, how can we find out more about you and watch all your videos?
Yeah, that's kind of the basis of what I do. It's called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. It's a YouTube series that we have. My YouTube channel is at Shadow of Red Eye. And that's my handle for everything. We're on Instagram at Shadow of Red Eye, and my Facebook is In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. You can find me there. We have an Etsy that we support our research for. We have little Bigfoot trinkets and jewelry and stuff like that everybody loves. And if you're in the United States, check out our website, shadowofredeye.com. But specifically, especially for our the U.S. listeners, because our tour is very big right now. We're going to like 5 states in the East Coast and the Midwest. So definitely, if you're in there and want to come see me live, check that out. If you're not, you can view all of our stuff on YouTube as well.
Excellent. Barb, how can we find out more about you and buy all your books?
I would love to have you go to my website, barbarabrandline.com. Come and engage with my writing. I'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Thanks so much for the show. Mike, I will see you on a Bigfoot tour sometime soon. Thanks so much, and take care.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Have a great day.